In Unit 6, the theory that I'll be talking about is the spiral of silence theory. Now, the spiral of silence theory is a theory that looks at how media can silence people in terms of expressing their opinion and controversial topics. Personal experience of mine involving spiral of silence theory occurred in my intercultural class during junior college, and I'm going to explain how this personal incident relates to the spiral of silence theory. Now, the controversy involved African Americans, which I am, of course, and how we are viewed in society and how recent tragedy has been going on over the years within this world. As Americans, as African Americans already, we feel like we have a minority opinion. And what a minority opinion is when most people disagree with us and we're less likely to speak out, which means kind of most people really won't believe what we say anyway. Also, this topic is very ubiquitous. I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong. The root word, which is ubiquity, which means the topic is everywhere. If you wake up, it's on the radio, it's on all forms of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You even see videos about it. It's movements about it. Black Lives Matter, police brutality, everything dealing with African Americans is everywhere. So being the only African American in the class, you want to speak up, but being the only person with that race, you feel that sense of isolation, which is a fear of isolation. And the definition of a fear of isolation is a fear of being a social outcast as a result of expressing an unpopular opinion, or in this case for me, a minority opinion and a lot of social pressure being added on to that. Now, with that being said, you take all these things and we process it, and we don't even know that we're processing it into a thing called the quasi-statistical sense. And that's where we gauge public opinions. And internally, subconsciously, we determine how much support there is on this topic. And this also results in pluralistic ignorance. So now, the overall assessment determines my behavior in the way that I move around in society because of how we already stereotype or how we are perceived towards the world. So with all these things, it's already hindering me back from how I want to speak on the situation dealing with larger at hand. And, it felt like, you had to choose a side. And I felt like I was more on the minority side rather than the majority side because I didn't feel like I was a part. I felt like I was secluded. I felt like I was left out. And it felt like, if I had spoken about it, I would have been punished for it. And not punished in the sense of trouble, but in the sense of like being shunned, being ashamed, being looked at different by my classmates because they can't relate to the same things that I can relate to from an African American standpoint. And it just comes to show you how the media is a key influence. And with the key influence, Newell and Newman discuss ubiquity. And what ubiquity is, which means that it's everywhere. Like I said before, it's on every single platform. It's everywhere we turn. It's cumulative, and it all works together to influence the sense of public opinion. So when you see the videos, you see the news reporters talking about it, every rapper, every entertainer that you see on all social media platforms, news channels, it all works together to form a public opinion about African Americans and how we feel towards these situations, how we're being treated, and all of these recent tragedies over the years. And there's also consonance, which also means it tends to tell us the same thing over and over again. So we're hearing the same thing every day over and over again. And subconsciously, we don't really think about that, and it sets inside of our brain. And with that being said, all of that is the theory of spiral of silence theory, which results into you not wanting to speak out about a more bigger of a cause or a bigger controversy. And my advice to you is if you feel strongly about it, you shouldn't feel about another audience. You shouldn't feel about the majority audience and how they feel about the topic of the situation. If you feel comfortable, if you believe, if you're highly interested into the topic or the controversy and you feel like you have a good strong point, you get a good message across, speak on it. With everything that's going on subconsciously in the media and how we're portrayed as African Americans when it comes to Black Lives Matter, police brutality, and how we're treated within society, it hindered me to speak out. And from here on out, that's one thing that they taught me, and I hope that this lesson will teach you the same thing as well, to speak out for the things that you believe in.